Welcome back, everybody. Earlier this week, FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr sounded the alarm, saying that the U.S. government should ban TikTok due to how the Chinese Communist Party works with the owner of TikTok, ByteDance, to decide how and what they do with our data. Well, luckily, our next guest has been keeping up on tech policy, social media censorship, and a whole lot more. He is Dan Savickas, the Director of Tech Policy for Taxpayer Protection Alliance, and he joins us now. Dan, I wanted to ask you, what do you make of this latest information, these allegations from the FCC Commissioner regarding TikTok?
I think they're very concerning, and I think it crystallizes exactly just how off-base congressional priorities are right now in this space. You see Senator Amy Klobuchar introducing a number of antitrust bills that would actually prevent app stores, whether they be the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store, or anything in between, from banning any software from their platforms, up to and including Chinese malware or anything that is even suspected of being malware from a hostile foreign power. And you see TikTok, one of the most popular apps on the App Store. Should Apple or Google or anybody else want to ban TikTok from their platforms, this congressional push that has bipartisan support right now would make that almost impossible. It would make tech companies have to walk to federal regulators and ask for permission to secure their platforms from Chinese communists.
Wow, that's a big problem. So much for free markets. Dan, there's an interesting development here, because in 2020, when Donald Trump first started to raise the red flag about TikTok, he was called every names in the book. I think CNN read an article saying he was threatening democracy. Now everybody, including Mark Warner, the Democratic Intelligence Committee chairman, and the Senate and others, are saying he was right all along. Why the flip-flop? Why now are people beginning to realize all along what was obvious, which was that TikTok presented a clear and present danger to national security?
I think part of the reason it's taken so long is that very simply a lot of the people making the laws and regulations around this did not grow up with the internet, and simply it's just been a matter of educating elected officials who, for the most part, don't know what they're talking about. And secondly, I think it's come much more clear how vulnerable America is with hacks like the SolarWinds hack. Pipelines are being hacked. You're seeing just how important cybersecurity is lately, and people are realizing that China is among one of the many threats that we face, and unfortunately, it's taken lawmakers a while to come around. Fortunately, some of them are finally starting to realize that this is something they need to look at.
Yeah.
Dan, I wanted to ask you, as far as TikTok goes and the data that they collect, and frankly, it's not just TikTok, there are a whole lot of other apps that do this as well, but I'm amazed at people who have basically no digital hygiene whatsoever, and they just allow their data to be spewed out there like a sprinkler. For the layperson who says, why does it matter if the CCP has my data from TikTok? What's the rebuttal to that? Because again, I'm amazed at how unsecure, I guess, people are with their own information.
Yes, and I think that's why consumer education is a necessary part of any effort that's going to happen here, because a lot of people do say, what does it matter? But if you think about, especially when it comes to securing things like the Google Play Store or the App Store, just think about how many financial transactions happen on these platforms, on these devices. And if a hostile foreign power gets access to this, they could wreak havoc on our financial systems, our electrical grids, you name it. You give them this level of access. So that's why it's important to educate consumers. It doesn't even have to come via legislation or regulation. Consumers have to be educated about best practices with regards to their data. October was Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and you heard very little about it. But it's something that needs to get pushed more and more, because you're right, a lot of people have this apathetic attitude, both in and out of government.
Yeah, it's true. An education campaign is so important, and our government's been really slow to get there. We got about a minute left, Dan. I want to ask about this. We've been talking all show. A couple of weeks ago, we broke a story about the collaboration between a private group and Homeland Security State Department to censor American speech. 22 million tweets affected by this machinery that they put together. The idea that the federal government and big tech are in bed together to suppress thought in America, speech in America. How do we attack it?
Yeah, the point is to point at the federal government. No entity has a monopoly on absolute truth, let alone a federal government agency. And I think we've learned that over the past number of years that the federal government can and often does get it very wrong. So for a federal government agency to be pressuring a private company like Twitter, like Facebook, it needs to be stopped in the crib. And if you think about how much power the federal government has, they have a monopoly on the coercive forces in America, and for them to go after anybody or to tell any company how to run their platform, it's a blatant violation of the First Amendment, and it needs to be investigated as such.
Yeah. Dan, we've got about 30 seconds before we go. I wanted to ask you very quickly, it seems to be a new day on Twitter as far as free speech. Quickly, what do you expect the future of Twitter to be?
I'm not sure, but I'm looking forward to it, seeing how things go, how Mr. Musk treats his $44 billion new purchase. I certainly hope discourse will improve. It'll get a little freer and fairer online, and I just hope that the government resists the urge to step in and do anything about it and impose censorship. Like I just said, no entity has a monopoly on truth. That's especially true for the government. Let Elon run it how he wants to run it because it's his.
Great point.
Yep, we will see. Thank you so much for the insight, Dan, and we'll be very happy to have you back on as new revelations with these apps and companies unfold. All right, everybody, that's it for us tonight. What a great way to end this hour, and we are so appreciative of all our guests who joined us tonight. And let's look forward to tomorrow. We have a great show, an Arizona-themed show tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. You don't want to miss it.